Well, we're getting our first nor'easter of the winter season right now. It just started a few hours ago. So if it looks a little dark in the background and you hear some rain on the roof, that's what's going on. But join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at 3-year Hoya updates. And before we get underway, I'm happy to take this opportunity to send out a special thank you to Utah the Walamute for her generous gift, and for Brandon Erickson, 76, who sent me a super thanks in honor of his wife's birthday. Thank you very much, and happy birthday to your spouse. And to Donna Becker, who sent me a super thanks. Your contributions to the channel go a long way to keeping me in Hoyas and Dischidias and technology and infrastructure. So thank you all very, very much. And the first one celebrating a 3-year anniversary here is my Hoya nabawanensis. Now, Hoya nabawanensis is native to Brunei, to Kalimantan in Indonesia, and to Sabah and Sarawak in Malaysia. And it was first collected in Malaysia, in Sabah, near the town of Nabawan, by Eva Karen Weiberg. And was first published in 2002 in Fraterna by Robert Dale Kloppenberg and Eva Karen Weiberg. And, let's see if I can get this to show up well. It's blooming. Let's see if I can do that a little bit better. Come on, cooperate. There we go. And I should have some close-up pictures for you. This was one of the first Hoyas that really took off for me. Once it got settled, it grew like a champ. The leaves are very pretty. There's a little bit of splash on them, varying levels of splash. They've got a nice kind of a fat lanceolate shape, nice little point to them. And it's a pretty plant. Now this one's I have to keep on the watering with this one because it's a big plant now and it's very thirsty. But it's done really, really well. I think the leaves are very pretty. Some of the larger leaves are measuring about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters petiole to tip, and about 1 3/4 or 4.5 centimeters wide. So it's a nice sized plant. It grows really well. It hasn't given me any difficulties really. There is a little bit of scarring from flat mites, but stuff happens, you know. But you get a plant that looks like that. Just beautiful, beautiful leaves and blossoms. And yeah, this one's done very, very well. I have to get on with my trellising. I've been trying to keep ahead of the watering and I haven't been doing a good job of that. So trellising is further down on the list. But I think the leaves are really pretty. You got to get a good grip on it. They're nice. They've got a little bit of texture to them. Where is it? There it is. So yeah, and it's done very well. It's an easy one for me. No difficulties whatsoever. Oh, there's more peduncles. Oh, cool. It's been easy. It's not difficult at all. It's not finicky. It's not demanding. Just once it gets going, it's going to want a drink. There's a slightly raised central rib in the leaves. These are probably not as firm as they should be because it needed a drink when I picked it up, and it got one. But yeah, it's done very, very well. It's just a great Hoya. You know, if you're looking for something that gives you that look of green with a little bit of splash, and usually these aren't terribly expensive. So yeah, this one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya nabawanensis. next 3-year resident is Hoya bicknellii. Now, Hoya bicknellii is native to the Philippines, to the island of Cebu, near the town of Matutinao, and was first published in 1999 in Fraterna by Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And I got this one as a free cutting from Plants Wake You Up. And he's not in his best right now. He got very thirsty. And so that's why the veins are standing out so much. But I had never heard of this Hoya, but the leaves were pretty. They look nice enough. They're plain, they're green. They're just nice leaves. When he's really well hydrated, they're smooth and glossy and looking much better than this. And so I settled it in, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and has lately started blooming with some regularity. There's a couple peduncles up here, and I should have pictures of those blossoms over here. So yeah, it did very well. Again, this one has not been difficult at all. It's currently living in front of my southeast facing window, so it gets a couple hours of gentle morning light. It's growing in pond and self-watering and has a pretty good root system. And again, it's presented no difficulties. It's not a terribly fussy plant. This is not the first time I have been slow on watering, and he bounces back. He's rather forgiving. So yeah, if you're looking for just some green, it's a really, really pretty plant. I may even have pictures of what it looks like when it's in better condition than this one, but and if I do, I'll put those up. But yeah, again, no trauma, no drama, no problems. Even when I had the flat mites, this one didn't seem to suffer too much from them. It just chugged along. So yeah, he'll be bouncing back shortly and back to his usual handsome self. So yeah, this one's done very well. Again, if you like some green, if you need some green to show off all your splash, this is a good one to look into. Again, this one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya bicknellii. Next up is Hoya plicata. Now, Hoya plicata is native to Malaya in Malaysia and was first published in 1908 in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Part 2, by George King and James Sykes Gamble. And I just liked the look of these leaves. I think those are very pretty. Kind of a broad lancelet shape. Some of them have a bit of splash. They've got some raised veins and just a nice shape. And again, once this one settled in, it took off. It's done very, very well in 3 years. I believe it has bloomed for me. I see peduncles, and I'm trying to remember, but I got a lot of plants. So, and if it has, and I do have them, I will put pictures of the blossoms over here. And there will be some close-ups of the leaves also, but this is just done very, very well. Again, Hoyas are not difficult. They don't have to be. I have no special skills or anything. I just take care of them. Anyway, this is done. As I said, it's done well. The leaves vary in size. Some of the larger leaves are, about 4 inches or 10 centimeters long and about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters wide. That seems to be, pretty average for the larger leaves. And it's just done well. Again, it's got nice texture. It has a nice look to the plant. It's really pretty. This one lives also in my southeast facing window, just off to the right side, so it gets some very early morning sun. And other than that, it takes care of itself. I've had to extricate it from my Hoya bellas, which live above it, but they seem to do fine. Actually, Bella had grown through some of the optimistic trellising, and had to gently back her out. But yeah, this is a good one. I like this one. I had never really heard of it. It hadn't been on my radar until I got it. And yeah, I'm just kind of happy with the whole look. No trauma, no drama, lots of fun, neat leaves. This one came from the Hoya Girl on Etsy, and this is Hoya Plicata. I showed this one last week because I didn't realize it had a birthday coming up, and because it was in bloom. So this is Hoya sigillatis. Now, sigillatis is native to Brunei, to Kalimantan in Indonesia, and to Sabah and Sarawak in Malaysia. That's the island of Borneo. And it was first published in 2004 in Fraterna by Ted Green. And the original collection site isn't known, but it was grown out at Tenem Agricultural Park. And it's still blooming for me. Those beautiful kind of caramel colored blossoms are just very nice. And I love the look of sigillatis leaves. The first time I saw this plant, I wanted one, which was not a good, we did not have the best outcome. Is that how we phrase it now? Nor did we have a great outcome from the second one, nor the third. But I was buying cuttings and I didn't know how to root them very well. So the next time I just went and popped for a small rooted plant. And it came in a really, really airy, I don't think I can, you won't be able to see. It's really airy, bark and some sphagnum. And so I lifted it out of its pot, put it in this hanging pot, and surrounded it with more bark and sphagnum. And just leave it alone. Doug Chamberlain from Vermont Hoyas says that if you find a place that your sigillatis likes, put it there and don't move it. And so that's what I've done. He hangs underneath the grow lights. They're about here above it. Well, actually, they're probably out there above it. And grows down, oh, it's on the floor. It trails on the floor, so it's almost 5 feet. And 5 feet is, I haven't memorized those metric conversions yet. So probably close to 120, 130 centimeters. It likes to get a drink, a good watering on the weekends. And then I usually give it a little touch up during the week. It wants access to moisture. It doesn't necessarily want to be sitting in water or nutrient solution or whatever. The leaves, when they get under light, can get a little bit of sun stress to them. Let's see if I can get that to, which is okay. I don't know. But I actually much prefer the leaves up here. So yeah, it's a gorgeous plant. If I keep on top of the watering, it blooms regularly. I love the variegation. I love the shape of the leaves. You know, it's just done well for me. When I finally learned enough to be able to take care of a Hoya, it's done well for me. Again, no trauma, no drama, no problems, no pests really. The only difficulty is that it grows really well. So yeah, I love the look of that. That's just really pretty. To my eye anyway. I know there's people that don't like it, and we can address those issues, but for me, this is a really cool Hoya. This is a good one. This one came from Stem M on Etsy, and this is Hoya sigillatis. Back when we were all locked in our houses and none of us could get Wilbur Graves, a lot of us tried out AH074. Now, AH074 was sold by AH Hoya, and that's in Ratchaburi, Thailand. And this one supposedly came from the Natamon nursery. That's all I know about it. I have a note that says it may be a variety of Carnosa. I have a note that says it may be a cross between Hoya Carnosa Gray Ghost and Hoya pubicalyx. As far as I know, okay, either one of those things could work. I can see both of them. We originally got it because it had, some beautiful variegated leaves. Yeah, we've had our issues with variegation on this one. You know, I'll get a leaf that's like that, partnered with a leaf that looks like that. For a long time, the leaves came in just pretty much solid green, and I kept cutting the vine back, hoping for more variegation. And it really hasn't happened. You know, I've Hoya pubicalyx that's got more variegation than this one does. So, and it's under really good light. So, you know, that's not necessarily the excuse. It's a pretty enough plant. I don't really have any complaints. It hasn't bloomed for me. It grows. To get this out here, it had grown up through the top of the grow shelf, down the side, and looped back around over the top. So I had to extricate almost 3 feet or 90 centimeters worth of vine that had gone off on its own little adventure. Yeah, okay. I've seen some really beautiful ones with lots of variegation. This isn't one of them. It's a nice enough Hoya. You know, okay. Even the vines that have a lot of variegation down here, the next set of leaves, are that. You know, so variegation does not always hold true. And I don't think you could say this is reverted. It's just not terribly variegated. So, yeah. No trouble. Absolutely no trauma, no drama. No issues. It's a thirsty plant. It's living on a grow shelf. It's got a good root system. I just wish it were a little bit more interesting, you know? Like I said, I've got Carnosas with more splash, and I've got pubicalyx with more splash. So if this is a Carnosa pubicalyx cross, not impressed. Anyway, this one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya species AH074. Was a freebie cutting, so it was never on my radar. But this is Hoya Kaimuki. Now, Hoya Kaimuki is a hybrid. It's a cross between Hoya McGillivray and Hoya archboldiana. And this one is known for having some of those huge, beautiful goth blossoms. And it's been a little bit of an adventure. If it sat around, it was just a couple of, maybe 2 leaves. I should have a picture. I think I've got a picture. But it had like maybe 1 or 2 leaves, like that's one of the original ones. And it didn't do anything for a really long time. And then it seemed to get happy. You know, it's got a decent root system. But it seems to grow in fits and starts. It'll put out a whole bunch of new growth, and then it'll slow down for a little bit. And then it'll put out a whole bunch of new growth and slow down for a little bit. It's giving me leaves like that, dark and glossy, and they are, yeah, we'll talk about the leaves in a bit. Dark and glossy, very pretty. It's putting out lots of, growth, lots of vinage. And yeah, so I'm okay with it. I would really like to see some blossoms. I don't see anything like a petiole on it. But it's worth the experiment, The offspring of McGillivray and archboldiana should be really striking. Now, the leaves are firm. They are rigid. There is no bending these. There's no give in them. They have a recessed central rib. Let's see if I can, no, I'm not going to, trying to show, because I have people that always ask about the back of the leaves, and here we go. There's something of the back of the leaf. They're very long, lancelet shape. The larger ones down here, at the bottom of the plant, are measuring 5 inches or 13 centimeters. Petiole to tip about 2 inches or 5 centimeters wide. This large one up here, that's 7 inches or just under 18 centimeters, and about 2.5 or 6.5 centimeters wide. So yeah, this one lives on the floor in the fallout from one of my plant shells. It didn't seem to like higher light. It does seem to like this medium kind of light. That's where it's put out this new growth in these adventuresome vines, which I must deal with. I'd love to see the blossoms. I really would, if it's listening, if it's paying attention. Make Daddy happy. This one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya Kaimuki. Next up, we've got some lacunosas. So this is Hoya lacunosa, Asami, clone B. Now, lacunosa in general as a species is native to Malaya and Sabah and Sarawak in Malaysia, to the Philippines, and to Thailand. And it was first published in 1827 in Bijdragen tot de Flora van Nederlandisch-Indië, or Contributions to the Flora of the Dutch East Indies, by Carl Ludwig van Blume. And the remarks on the herbarium sheet say Malaya, so it was probably found on the Malay Peninsula. And this arrived as part of a, we all go through a lacunosa phase. And I was gonna collect every lacunosa there was. Oh, dopey me. Yeah, there are more than I have room for. So I got rather selective. And I liked the outer variegation on this one. See if it's very pretty. And it has decided to put out this rogue vine over here that's, see if I can, where have you gone now? What have you gotten into? There we go. Okay. So it put out this rogue vine with major variegation, but then settled back into just its normal self. On some leaves, the variegation is really nice. It's a little bit wider. On other leaves, it's barely there. It's under decent light, so sometimes the variegation can get a little sun stress, a little pink, but that's okay. And this one grows like a monster. This is easily 5 feet. I like the look of the leaves. They're very pretty. It's typical lacunosa leaves, but because these are a little bit larger, it shows up really well. And it's been a good grower. It's also very forgiving. This one lives on the back of one of my grow shelf setups, so it's under pretty good light. I don't always see it and sometimes miss it when I'm watering, but it perks right back up. I'm going to have to do some trimming on this to it's getting into everybody's business, so we need to do some work on it. But this one, it's a lacunosa, so no trauma, no drama. It grows really well. It's very forgiving. It will bounce back if I miss it a couple times in watering. Yeah, it's just been a good one. I like my lacunosas. I don't need all of them. Because every week someone comes out with, this is lacunosa mint, and this is lacunosa mint cream, and this is lacunosa mint cream ghost, and this is lacunosa. They're all just lacunosas. But there are some varieties that are really, really nice, and this is one of them. This one came from Shop Windows, Lush Greens on Etsy, and this is Hoya lacunosa Asami Clone B. The next one is another lacunosa, so I'm not going to run through all that stuff again. If you need to see the map, then you can go back and rewind it. This is Hoya lacunosa giant leaf. That's the name under which I purchased it, and I think this one may be my favorite lacunosa. The leaves do seem larger than my other lacunosa. And the blossoms also seem larger than my other lacunosa. And, they're lacunosa blooms, but I'll have some over here, some pictures of it. The leaves, when it says giant leaf, we're looking at 2.5 inches from petiole to tip and 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters wide. That 1.5 inches is like, 2.5 inches is like 6.5 centimeters. So the leaves can get large. So it deserves the name giant leaf. You could also call it giant blossom because I think the blossoms are larger than regular lacunosa, which is another reason I like it. I just think that's beautiful. I like the bigger leaves. It blooms regularly. If you can look at, it's getting ready to bloom again. That peduncle is, that's a long peduncle and it's got buds on it. One more time. There's a whole bunch of them down here that have buds forming yet again. So it's been a good bloomer. It's been a good grower. There's a tiny little bit of splash on some of the leaves, but you wouldn't call them at all splashy. This has not let me down in terms of being a lacunosa. No issues, no problems, it just blooms and grows like Edelweiss. So yeah, this one's been really good. This one came also from Shop Windows Lush Greens on Etsy, and this is Hoya lacunosa giant leaf. 3-year lacunosa is Hoya lacunosa Mr. Tent. Now, I wanted this one simply because of the name. There had to be a story behind it, and I never knew what it was. And finally, someone sent in a little notation that it was called Mr. Tent because on a full plant, the leaves form a sort of protective tent. Works for me. This one is currently in bloom, and it's standard lacunosa blooms. Some people think they smell like cat pee. I think they smell like hyacinth. Whatever. You either like lacunosa or you don't. The leaves are very pretty. This one could probably use a little bit less sun or a little bit less light, because the leaves that are away from the grow lights are much darker. I'll see what I can do about that, but there's space is limited in the plant room, and I just ordered more plants. And I keep talking about, I'm going to go on one in, one out, but I never do. There's a couple places I might try this and see if it prefers it there. What have you gotten into now? Okay, there. But again, this one had grown out the side of the grow shelf, up on one of the corner posts, and then grown all along the top of the shelf over the lights. So that's what that whole thing is about. But again, I don't find lacunosas difficult. They perform very well for me. As long as I keep up my end of the bargain and keep them watered, because when the plant gets to be this size, they get thirsty. Every week is, I can't go beyond a week. I do, but I shouldn't. Anyway, this is done really well. It's very interesting. It's got very narrow leaves. The giant leaf we just looked at, the leaves are a little more broad. These seem to be very narrow. Very pretty. Standard lacunosa with the dimpling and the raised veins. But yeah, this one's been good. This one came from the Hoya girl on Etsy, and this is Hoya lacunosa Mr. Tent. Next up, we have my Hoya latifolia Sarawak. Now, Hoya latifolia, in general, is native to Brunei, to Java, Kalimantan, and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, to Myanmar and to Thailand. And latifolia as a species was first published in 1837 in A General History of the Dichlamydious Plants, comprising complete descriptions of their different orders, together with the characters of the genera and species, and an enumeration of the cultivated varieties, the scientific names accentuated, their etymologies explained, and the classes and orders illustrated by engravings, and preceded by introductions to the Linnean and natural systems, and a glossary of the terms used. Love Victorian titles. And I hear people all the time saying, they want one. They want one. And yes, you do. They're gorgeous. But they also require real estate and architecture. That's just growing in there. That leaf is going to get, oh man, nothing I can do. Nothing I can do at this point. This plant has a tendency to get very top heavy. I have it in a self-watering pot on an optimistic trellis, and the weight of the plant is pulling the trellis forward out of the pot and will pull the pot off balance. So I have this pot sitting in another heavy pot just to keep it standing. So it's a big thing. It needs to be, I need to cut this, not the plant, cut the trellis apart and retrellis it into something more stable. But as you can imagine, that's a process. And I've just not been in the mood to do that. So this one, when it first came with just a couple of leaves. I may have a picture of what it looked like when it showed up. And it sat around for a while and didn't do much of anything. And then it started growing. And I got leaves like this, and leaves like this, and this, and this. That one large leaf, where's that monster, is from petiole to tip. Come on, I've only got one hand. I have to, there we go. So easily 7 inches from petiole to tip. 7 inches is about 18 centimeters, and from side to side, it's 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. It's beautiful. It has not bloomed for me. It grows like a latifolia, so it's not in any kind of rush to get anywhere, but it's doing okay. This one currently lives in my southeast facing window, pulled back maybe 30 centimeters or 12 inches. And it's doing all right there. Some of the older leaves, there's some scarring from the flat mite outbreak. And they're growing lower now, so they don't get as much light as these upper leaves do. And there's not much I can do about that. You know, he gets the space he gets. So, yeah. But if you're looking, you know, if you think you want jumbo leaves, yeah, this will give them to you. Just a little bit of patience and care, and it's yours. Not this plant, but you know, when you get one of your own, you'll get those big leaves and stuff like that. So, yes. This one also came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya latifolia Sarawak. Question for the comments. First up, thank you to everybody who took the time to respond to last week's question about what's on your wish list. You may think that I add a lot of plants to your wish list, but when you mention stuff that I've never heard of and I have to go look it up, then you end up adding to my wish list too. So yeah, so thanks. And the question this week is, do you ever give unrequested plants as gifts? And by that I mean, like, oh, well, I'm going to give this, you know, Aunt Jane a Hoya because she deserves, you know, we want to bring her into the fold and she'll like that. Or do you hold back and say, I'm not going to give anybody a plant unless they ask for that specific plant? And I tend to be in the latter category. I used to give people plants as gifts, but some people just aren't interested in growing plants, and then they feel bad when it just dies. So yeah, so if my friends, family, you know, folks ask, I'm usually willing to share a cutting or share a plant, but I've stopped giving plants that aren't requested. And my other protocol was, once you give someone a plant, I never ask how it's doing again, so that if it dies, the person doesn't have to admit to it. So that's my personal protocol. You know, if someone asks for a plant, I will share it with them, but I'll never ask how it's doing. It's up to them to tell me that it's doing really well, so, or not. Yeah, so in the comments below, let me know how, I hate the term gifting, but how you give plants. Yeah, that'll be interesting. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click the thumbs up, like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. They all help my channel grow. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront, and there's a link in the description to that storefront. I receive a small commission on the sales, but it doesn't change your price, affect your price at all. And it's a way to help support the channel, and I do appreciate it. That's where that word comes in. If you're in the market for grow lights, there's a link in the description as well to the Sansi LED light page. And if you use my code, planted in RI, you receive a 30% discount from the prices on that site. Again, I receive a small commission on the sales, and it's a way for you to help support the channel. Plus, I've been really liking my Sansi lights. If you'd like to send me direct support, there's a link below to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or there's a thanks button down here that YouTube handles. I'm going to post links to a couple more videos over here on the sides, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.